Hey, thanks for giving this a shot. This is going to be more of a narrated slideshow than it is a movie, but we ought to keep things moving along this way, and hopefully we'll get to some things that we don't normally get to with the written versions of our updates. I'm going to start out with the Fantasyland update, the Fantasyland construction. Here we see the Dumbo building in the background of the Tomorrowland Speedway. This is the queue line, where you see this circus tent, which is not a tent at all. It's made out of metal. The ride vehicles will go off on the right in that little building back to the side. Here's one of the workers using a blowtorch. Exciting, I know. But, I was inspired to take it because of this little NASA sticker here. Maybe he worked at NASA. Across the way, we've got the Fantasyland enhanced queue of Winnie the Pooh. And you know why I'm stuck here, why I've got to show you this. This is the queue starting to fall apart. Now, I don't blame the people who put this together, the people who installed it. It was a good idea, but they've got to find a way to keep these things up or replace them. This queue is not all that old, and I know that my kids enjoy it, so I really want them to keep to their high standards and do something about that. Here's a popcorn cart, big deal, right? Well, the sign is new to me. This is Maurice's Amazing Popcorn Machine. I like the theme. This is good to be folded into the new Beauty and the Beast area, which you see here in the background with these exciting rocks. Not too much has changed in the last couple of weeks over there. Now here, something has changed. They had this horrible abomination of a wireframe sign at Carousel of Progress for the last several weeks. It looked very temporary the way it was installed. I don't know why they installed a temporary one, if they're just going to put the same one back, or maybe this is a new version of the same idea, I don't know. As you can see, there's no sign up here yet for when this year is. Maybe it doesn't need it. Whatever the reason, now it looks fine, I guess, and maybe they just took leave of their senses when they put the wireframe one up. Here we are in the TTA People Mover. I'm not quite certain if this sign is new. This happens to me all the time, wandering around the parks wondering, is that new after all? Because, I just am never sure. Here, something is definitely new. They've taken out that fairly pointless but fun for my 8-year-old marble ball that would spin. If you pushed it, it was elevated by some water. They've dug down through the concrete into the ground. I don't know what they're doing. I do know that the ball is backstage in pieces. Don't know if it's coming back. I do know that this is a lesser version of the Disneyland Cosmic Waves. Over in Adventureland, the Enchanted Tiki Room abomination, under new management, is now continuing its construction. Until last week, they had a bit of an A-frame here saying it's closed. They've done away with that, and they've just kind of pushed the walkway over to the side, and who knows what they're up to there, but they've got construction walls. So now on to the important stuff. Not so important after all. These are the bathrooms in Adventureland near parts of the Caribbean. They spent a good amount of money putting these tiles together and even theming the hinges on the doors. So, bravo. Back to Fantasyland, where the Skyway building is coming down. This was an empty area for a very long time. It's too bad they couldn't have put the characters here because, at the moment the characters started going all over the place when they lost Toontown. But I understood why they're doing it, because they wanted to keep this area for this construction. And what they're doing is raising this zone. They're going to bring it flat. It's going to be the new entrance into Liberty Square. And the current road entrance into Liberty Square is not going to be road anymore. It's going to be part of the Peter Pan building. They're going to make it a new queue, hopefully an interactive queue, because boy, does that ride need it. Prices went up. They went up from 3 to 11%, something like 10% on the 10-day passport. So they're making it a little bit less of a good deal to stay on Disney property longer. That may turn out to be a mistake. Let's wait and see what we have to say about Universal, shall we? Over at Epcot, here's the Kakigori, the shaved ice cart that's temporary out in the front of the pavilion. They've got walls up around the existing structure. And then the Don't Waste It exhibit in Innoventions. I don't know if the sign is a reference and the name is a reference to not wasting your time, but at any rate, here's the exhibit that was here since 2008, designed to teach you about trash and recycling and let your kids push around a bit of a little cart, play some video games where they sort trash. It sounds like a whole lot of fun. I know you're devastated this won't be here the next time you return. The short version is they don't really have an announcement yet for what's going to take its place. But just across the way at the House of Innoventions, which has also been vacant, there's a bit of a pattern there, they are going to do something about that and replace it with a House of Innoventions. In other words, it's going to reopen. No word on exactly when or what. Here are the Vinylmations Park Series number 6. I don't really like a lot of them. I like some of them. Well, this is sort of generic Tomorrowland, right? And here we've got the sign from Outside on the Roads. I like that one. Tiki, I'm guessing, the guy from Cosmic Rays. This is the Primeval Whirl. Is that from Monsters Incorporated? Enough with the monorails already. Are people still buying these? These are mostly Walt Disney World based. Are people buying them in Disneyland? Not sure. And now we need to talk about Splash Mountain. You've heard me talk about Big Thunder over the last several weeks. It's had numerous problems, shall we say, and I'm going to do a photo essay on Big Thunder coming up soon, but my trip through Splash Mountain this most recent weekend really kind of opened my eyes to how much work they need to do on these rides. I want you, the next time you're there, and if it's before Disney gets around to fixing things, to count up the number of animatronics, the robotics, that are broken or are speaking, theoretically, but their mouths are not moving. This one happened to be working this last week. It's ironic, since the Hopping Rabbit is usually not working. But most of the animatronics are singing, or they're supposed to be, there's a speaker anyway, and their mouths are not moving. They're clenched. So maybe their heads are moving, but their mouths are not moving at all. It's a really disconcerting effect. And it kind of, brings back the Paul Pressler good enough for Six Flags mentality. Well, it's not good enough for it's not good enough for Disney. It might be Six Flags quality, but Disney is supposed to be better. And I think it's important for people to say something when they notice this, so Disney doesn't think that it is good enough. Because if we just say, hey, this is good enough, then why should they fix it? Lastly then, Universal. So at the Universal parks and resorts, there was a joint owner of Blackstone and Comcast. And the short version is Comcast bought everything. They had to, or else Blackstone would have sold it to anyone they wanted for any price they wanted. And now you've got this guy in charge named Steve Burke, who's a former Disney executive. And as a Comcast executive, he tried to buy Disney, the whole corporation, back in 2004. Here's a guy who thinks he's Michael Eisner. And who knows, maybe he will be Michael Eisner. I suspect we're going to see big things out of Burke. I don't know what they will be. Maybe we'll get a Transformers land the way we've got a Harry Potter land. Maybe he'll start doing creative things with the tickets. Who knows what. But I think it's going to be good news because there's going to be increased competition. He's going to raise the bar. Disney's going to have to work hard to keep up, and that's good for everyone when that happens. So thanks again for giving this format a shot. Be sure to let us know what you think by survey, and we'll see if we can keep this going. Thanks for your listening and reading patronage.